Hey everyone, I'm Haley and I study strategic communications. Let's sharpen our media literacy skills together. This is How to Push Back. Today we're going to look at how Fox News and MSNBC are covering the new spending bill. One is presenting it as a real victory, one is presenting it as a real betrayal. I'm not really interested in who's right or wrong. What I want to do is look at what messages are being presented and what tools are being used to present those messages. We'll start with Fox News.
President Trump on side is he's created maximum leverage. So by telling our trading partners that they could boomerang back to the April 2nd date, I think it's really going to move things along the next couple of days.
They are framing the bill as a sign of strength. They're using this phrase, maximum leverage, it's got a very theatrical feel. So I think it's important to notice what's missing here. They don't really mention who is receiving that pressure.
What exactly is the problem this legislation is trying to solve? What exactly did Donald Trump and his team sit in a room and think, you know what, we have two houses of Congress, we have the White House, we're going to try to solve this big problem? Republicans have never even tried to answer that question, not coherently at least. But looking what is in the bill, it's pretty clear to me that the problem they were seeking to address is, I guess, that the wealthy in this country have too little and they pay too much in taxes and the poor have too much.
MSNBC takes a very different approach. They start by questioning the bill's purpose, and then when they answer it in this really critical way. It sets up a clear division. It says that the bill exists to benefit the wealthy people at the expense of the poor. This kind of creates a straw man argument. A straw man argument is when you simplify the opposing position to a point that it's really easy to dismiss.
President Trump's signature legislation was signed into law on the 4th of July. What do you expect the economic impact to be?
This is going to be really terrific, Mike. I mean, this is such a pro-growth bill. I mean, it gives certainty as the tax rates. It increases the estate tax exemption so that families don't have to worry about losing their farms and small businesses don't have to worry. It grows the economy. You know,
this segment takes a really promotional tone. The bill is described using broad, positive phrases like pro-growth and certainty. These are examples of glittering generalities. They're terms that sound really good, but they don't really offer any specifics. This is a form of persuasive language that appeals to common values without making any real concrete claims. There's no mention of the trade-offs, the opposition, or the public reaction.
But now, with his signature legislation headed to his desk, there should be no doubt. Trump is no populist. A populist doesn't kick 17 million people off their health care coverage. Populist doesn't take food stamps away from millions of people. Populist doesn't fund a massive immigration enforcement army with a budget bigger than many of the world's militaries. And a populist definitely doesn't do all of that while also giving over $4 trillion in tax cuts to corporations and the wealthiest people in the entire country.
In this clip, they're using this rapid list of claims designed to discredit both the policy and the figure behind it. The pacing is really emotional and the examples are really loaded, and they fire them off in such a way as to create a sense of urgency. It's used for emotional overload. It's a technique to combine multiple high-impact claims that to provoke a strong feeling. So they're just like bam, 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 bam. The clip also introduces a false dichotomy, and we've heard that term on this channel a couple times now. The false dichotomy is that either a leader helps the working class or they can't be considered a populist. In practice, I think populism is more of a rhetorical style than a really fixed set of policy outcomes. So the term is redefined here in a really narrow way, and it's used to exclude the target.
I was talking to Anthony, who has his own car company. He's an entrepreneur, and he said, all I want to do is live and pay my bills, pay my rent, and look after my kids. This bill is going to expand business in the United States, so people like Anthony get more business for his car company.
In this clip, she's using an anecdote to try to illustrate how the bill might help small business owners. Anecdotes are really powerful tools. They create this emotional connection and they simplify things in a way that make them relatable. But individual stories don't always represent larger
Staten
trends.
Island, protesters held what they called a die-in, that's what they called it, outside the offices of Republican Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis. They brought homemade tombstones representing the lives impacted by Trump's big, ugly bill.
So in this segment, they are using protest to illustrate a political message. They have these visual symbols like tombstones and die-ins, and it makes the stakes feel really urgent and personal. They're repeatedly using the phrase big ugly bill. They're kind of reinforcing a specific emotional narrative with that. These are examples of symbolism and repetition, two tools often used to embed a message more deeply in a viewer's mind. We see repetition used all the time. We see symbolism used all the time. Protest footage like this isn't really very informational. It's very theatrical, and it's intended to shape how the audience feels. All right, everyone, that was the breakdown for today. I think my takeaway is that when you see something described as both a solution and a disaster, it's really difficult to keep your mind in the middle. So that's a really not a time to tune out. It's a time to dig in, break it down, think it through. Well, I appreciate you guys being here with me today. My name is Haley, and this has been How to Push Back.